I'm gonna try to get some footage of it in flight real quick. So cool. Got my bagels. Oh, yeah. Buttered bagels and birding. That's what it's all about, baby. I can't stress the importance of staying very organized when you're packing for birding trips, you guys. You know, making sure all of your gear is nice and closed up so it won't get damaged. So important, and I model that perfectly. So don't do what I do. It's super foggy outside this morning, but hopefully as the sun comes up, some of that fog will clear. Shouldn't interfere too much. Gotta make a quick gas stop first. So, where are we going? You already know the answer to that question because you clicked on the video and saw the title, but we're going to the dairy, and it's one of my favorite birding spots. With bird watching, you'll find that birds like to show up in really weird places. I didn't expect a dairy to be a great birding hotspot when I first learned about it, but sure enough, dairies, garbage dumps, parking lots, wherever. It is super foggy, but maybe it'll make things interesting. Ching! Killdeer flying by. The high-pitched kee. It's classic. We'll see more of these guys later. There he is. Alright, so here's the common gallinule. It's like a chicken and a duck had a baby, but you can identify them by their gray bodies with the white blaze across the side and their red bills with yellow tips. There's a great side-by-side with an American coot. The American coot is a very similar bird, but it has an all-white bill and lacks the white blaze of the common gallinule. It really is just lovely out here. Alright, here's an adult male boat-tailed grackle, and they can readily be identified by their long tails. The males have this all-black, glossy plumage, and the females are more brown, but I showed one of these in my Sweetwater video from last week, so in that footage you can really see how bright and beautiful they can be. Oh snap, looks like we got some robin beef going on. Hold on guys, duking it out. Oh my gosh, they're going again. Oh snap. Guys, it's getting real. Here's a beautiful eastern bluebird. Eastern bluebirds are found in the eastern United States and are replaced by the western bluebird out west. They're easily identified by obviously the blue color on top, hence bluebird. They also sport a rusty orange breast and a white belly. These white ibis almost look like ghosts. They're so goofy. Yes, I said goofy. Alright, so I was walking and found a feather. Let's see what we got. Alright, it's pretty crusty, but this is actually a white ibis primary feather. Primaries are the large flight feathers in the wing, kind of the fingers, if you will, of the bird in flight. And you can see it's pretty obviously a white ibis, large white base and black tip. Super diagnostic. But yeah, I'm just gonna put it back and see what else we can find. What are you looking at? Cow. Trust me when I say you guys do not want to know what's in that water. Nasty. Here's a beautiful palm warbler. Palm warblers are not the most common. Yellow rump warblers are more common, but the second most common wintering warbler here. And they winter in small numbers on the west coast, I think, but they're primarily an eastern species. They have an affinity for bobbing their tails relentlessly. Now let's talk about a common field mark that's found on a lot of songbirds is the supercilium, sometimes just called the eyebrow. Just above his eye is a long lateral stripe that runs from the bill to past behind the eye. This is a common field mark in differentiating a lot of different bird species. Perfect, just by the palm warblers there's a couple female red-winged blackbirds. So red-winged blackbirds, the males and females look dramatically different. So the males are jet black with red shoulder patches on their wings, and the females are like this. They're brown, very streaky, very different looking, but you can see the field mark I just mentioned, the supercilium, on this bird quite well. Runs from about top of the bill to behind the eye. Here's an excellent view of a yellow-rumped warbler, and you can see why they're called yellow-rumped. Some people like to call these birds butterbutts. Funny little nickname. Here's a curious little house wren. House wrens, again, like many of the birds we're seeing today, are common in the wintertime, but make their way north in the spring to breed. These are black-bellied whistling ducks, and if they stood up, you could see the namesake black bellies. But these guys are really cool. They're very widespread in South America, but they've been recently kind of colonizing and expanding their population north through Florida, which is really neat. So I think these guys didn't actually establish themselves in Alachua County till 50, 60 years ago. So these guys are really neat and really pretty birds. You'll see them in places even just like retention ponds and backyard ponds, so they're really common, but really, really cool. Fun fact, these guys are actually nocturnal species. So you'll frequently hear them calling overhead at dusk. They have a very noisy kind of whistling, squeaky whistling sound that they make, but just gorgeous pink bills, gray heads, brown bodies, and like I mentioned, the black bellies below. But super cool bird, really easy to identify, and honestly just really lucky that we have them here. It's one of those birds that you take for granted so many times, the common birds that you see. It's good to stand back and appreciate them. Now, just in front of the black-bellied whistling ducks, we have a peep. So what's a peep? It's a common name given to a group of shorebirds, like this little sandpiper here, that are very, very tiny, very small, and very similar looking. There's a few different species, western sandpipers, least sandpipers, semi-palmated sandpipers, that all have very subtle differences, yet this is a least sandpiper. They're more common here in the winter, and they have yellow, pale yellow-green legs versus the black legs of the other two species. But there's a lot of them out here on the mud flats, and they're cute little birds, but very, very tiny, hence the name least. Here's a better look at that pair of least sandpipers I was talking about. Now let's talk about mud real quick, and why mud, of all things, gets birders really, really excited. So as you can see here, all over there, these little spots all throughout this pond are full of mud. What that means for birders and why that attracts us so much is because it attracts shorebirds. Shorebirds are like the little sandpipers you see at the beach, so whenever we see mud, that's a signal. It's like, go birding. Here you can see just how many least sandpipers there are here and how much the mud really, really attracts these birds. Okay, here's one of the coolest species of gull we actually have here. This is called a Bonaparte gull. These guys are really widespread across the US, but we only get them in the wintertime. The wintertime is also really known as the non-breeding season, at least in the northern hemisphere. Birds in the non-breeding season generally have duller plumage or just a different plumage than they normally would during the summer when they're breeding. So the Bonaparte gull, its non-breeding plumage is easily identified by that little black patch behind its ear that you can see. Other notable features include the small, dainty black bill and the almost dove-like shape to its head. But these guys are really pretty gulls. It's pretty small actually for a gull, but yeah. Just chilling here on the poop pond. Go figure. The Bonaparte gull just flew up and it's kind of foraging around right in front of me, so I'm gonna try to get some footage of it in flight real quick. So cool. You can see the dairy in the background. Got another flock of black-bellied whistling ducks, and I was just about to say it would be a miracle if they don't flush, but I guess these are the courageous ones, huh? Let's see if I can get past without spooking them. Nah. But at least you can hear them, so their noisy whistle. Kind of annoying, but kind of cool at the same time. Sun's out, guns out, baby. You know I'm gonna shoot all those birds. Here's a juvenile white ibis. So when white ibis are pretty young, probably the first year or so of their life, they actually retain this, they have this brown plumage as opposed to the full bright white. So a lot of birds, not only do you have to learn what they look like as an adult, but sometimes their juvenile plumages can be different as well. Let me tell you, nothing, and I mean nothing, beats the feeling of walking around in wet socks. Birding can wait. Alright, thanks for watching, everybody. See you guys in the next one. Here on this chipping sparrow, you can clearly see the light supercilium bordered by the dark cap and dark eyeline that runs through its face. They have little pink bills and plain gray underparts.